The taking of Israel, the Israelites, out of Egypt is the ultimate marriage between Kodesh Baruch Hu, HaShem, and the Jewish people. The Exodus and the Pesach meal, which culminates, and this is how it's shown, in the Shir HaShirim, which is the love song between God and the Jewish people. This is the first stage, the Kiddushin or the Yerushin of the marriage between God and the people Israel. And for me, well, then in a normative sense, then there's the 7 weeks of purification, so to speak. The difference between the engagement, which is the Kiddushin, and the Yerushin, we'll call it Kiddushin for today, but it's Yerushin, this separation. And that engagement period goes through a process of 49 days until the culmination of the giving of the Torah and the marriage ceremony and the huppah and the suin of Shavuos, and the marriage, the Nisuin, the second stage, the Huppah stage of the marriage between God and Israel. And this is a marriage which is shown in Shir HaShirim. The love song, the highest level between the Aleph and the Hey, as shown in the Pesach of the Hey and the Aleph. Ha. In this marriage of the Jewish people, for me, the Kiddushin, the engagement stage, is the ultimate marriage. When you meet the woman in a love at first sight, so to speak, that's it. Because after the Kiddushin, you have to get a get. To be separated. But for me, there's no gets. It's always tie in like an umbilical cord. There's no get. You can't divorce your mother. There's no get. It's a permanent tie. And this is the beauty of it. And this is shown after the Pesach meal, saying the Song of Songs. And that's the ultimate marriage. It's the first stage of the marriage, but it's the marriage itself. The Kiddushin is the marriage. That's why the Talmudic tractate is called Kiddushin. It's not called Nisuin. The funny thing is about the word Nisan has a sounding parallel to Nisuin. It's a sin, instead of a samek, but it's basically the same. And in the word Nisan, remember, if you have a dream of a nun or two nuns, miracles are going to happen to you. Why? Because the word nas, nun samech is in Nisan. It's a miracle. And quite frankly, the Nisuin means lifting up. In Hegelian terms, it's Aufheben. You lift up, transcend. Nisuin is Aufheben, in case you want to study that. And the Nisan, only the engagement occurs in Nisan. So how could it have a parallel between the Suin and Nisan? It's because Nisan, with the two nuns, symbolize this. The first nun of the Kiddushin or the Arusin, that's the same nun as the second nun of Nesuin. Because the real marriage is on Pesach, first day of Pesach. That's the real Kiddushin. That's when God found his mate, the Jewish people, and married them. And the final outcome of that marriage is 50 days later, after the transcendence and the purification, same as Esther had. And that's the giving of the Torah. So how, basically that's it, you know. What could be higher than the marriage of the Jewish people on Pesach when they came out of Egypt? Coming out of Egypt is not much different than coming out of the womb. Because on the Musaf of Pesach, you stop saying the prayers for rain that you started on Shemini Atzeretz, or back then. And that's the birth. That's the birth. And the funny thing is, it's exactly a year. Because there's 72 days in the womb, in the brain and the body of the male, and then 280 days in the female. That's 352 days. That's a year. So a year ago was the marriage, so to speak. Then there was a 72-day period, maybe 72 days, maybe, let's see that. Kind of like from the 1st of Nisan. Well, anyway, this kind of thing, it's a year. So it's a revolving year. There was a marriage a year ago, and then a child comes out after the Musak. The child comes out at the leaving of Egypt, or maybe at the parting of the Red Sea. And they say that, actually it was at 6th, 7th day, and then on Shabbos HaGadol, they say also the Shia HaSharim. So all these things are tied in. And in Kabbalah in real time, I haven't thought this out. So think with me. So it's a marriage and then a child, so to speak. And the coming out of Egypt. And it's a Nisuin. It's a lifting up. It's an Aufheben. To lift up from the low. That's what it is. What could be lower than being in Egypt? And then it's a coming out of Egypt and a lifting up to Torah. 50 days later, which is the Nun of the dreams of Nisan, which is a Nun. And the whole purpose of coming out of Egypt is the giving of the Torah and the Huppah and the marriage of Jews, of the Jewish people in Israel and HaShem. And a permanent bond. There's no divorce. No get. It's a joke. In a certain sense, every beer creates a permanent bond. Every intercourse, a permanent bond. So be careful. Because that bond stays with you for all time. So be very careful with your beer, your intercourse. Be even more careful with your kisses of the mouth. Let me kiss you with the kisses of the mouth. Love is greater than wine, the wine of the Pesach. My love is greater than the yayin of the Pesach, the 4 cups of Pesach. And that's what I said in the previous video, that there's something higher than these 4 cups of Pesach. And these kisses of the mouth, and what are they? Kisses of the mouth can be considered a matzitza hadam. of the bris. Deep, deep, deep things. And the kisses of the mouth is the higher union of the godly soul, like the genitals are the union of the animal soul. The kisses of the mouth and the tongue is the unification of the godly souls. So be careful with your kisses. Because spirits are being created with this, and your thoughts. These are permanent spirits coming from intercourse. And Pesach, the mouth speaks, but Hashmal, the mouth is silent. But Hashmal Mal, the mouth is silent and then speaks. Mal is also a word. These are very deep secrets. Very deep secrets. And the secret of marriage and the feminine and the intercourse. And it's so beautiful here on the Pesach. We're talking about Pesach and the continuation to the splitting of the Red Sea, Yam Suf, and these days of counting the Omer and the purification of the Midot. And this is the whole purpose of the Pesach. And the whole purpose of sexuality. And what you're really here for. And how you can experience in these levels beyond the normative levels of understanding. And that's what Kabbalah is all about.